All right, welcome everyone. It's Monday, August 3rd, 2026, 6 o'clock. I want to call the regular board meeting for the Village of East Dundee to order. Do roll call, please.
Trustee Mahoney?
Here.
Trustee Oakland?
Here.
Trustee Guma?
Here.
Trustee Sauter?
Here.
Trustee Saviano?
Here.
Trustee Clumsy?
Present.
And President Pierce.
Here.
We're ready to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, at this time, we'll open it up to public comment. Anyone with public comment? There being none, we'll move forward to the public hearing. Stu, did you need to present something?
Yeah, is it?
You didn't send it to me?
It's not gonna, so, is there a way that I can plug in?
Not now,
If you could give me one moment, I'm gonna try and send something to Caleb where I was having some connectivity issues here. Just do the consent agenda in front of it.
Can we move on to the consent agenda?
Yeah, why don't you advance to the consent agenda?
Okay.
Wonderful.
I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
I will move to approve the regular village board minutes dated July 20th, 2026. I will also move to accept the warrants list in the amount of $982,895.06. I will move to approve a resolution approving and ratifying a retention letter for outside legal services with Jeep and Blazer LLC. I will move to approve a resolution waiving competitive bidding and authorizing the village administrator to enter into an agreement with Lauderdale Electric, Inc. for the provision of services related to director boring of conduit regarding ComEd and telecom services along the Barrington Avenue and 3rd Street right-of-ways in an amount not to exceed $95,638. I will move to approve a resolution approving an agreement with AT&T Inc. to bury overhead utility facilities and pole removal work along the Barrington Avenue and 3rd Street right-of-ways in the amount not to exceed $129,554.09. I'll move to approve a resolution approving an agreement with Comcast Corporation to bury overhead utility facilities along the Barrington Avenue and 3rd Street right-of-ways in an amount not to exceed $8,105.29. And I will move to approve a resolution approving an agreement with Verizon Communications to bury overhead utility facilities along the Barrington Avenue and 3rd Street right-of-ways in the amount not to exceed $6,043.70.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?
One small comment just for staff on the memo. It says for Verizon, letter G, it says $6,030. So this is off by $13,
43.
but the ordinance, I think, is the correct amount. This $13 more, but just a little correction to put in for the minutes.
We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead and roll call.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Guma?
Yes.
Trustee Sauter?
Yes.
Trustee Oakland?
Yes.
Trustee Saviano?
Yes.
Trustee Kunzi?
Yes.
You ready, Stu?
Not yet.
Not yet?
If not, I can move on.
Yeah, it just takes a second to go through the firewall.
Okay. My presentation is actually not necessarily through the visuals. I could just start talking through it. So, tonight, one of the things that we are that we have publicly noticed is a public hearing on proposed annexation agreement for 74.55 acres located at the southwest corner of Beverly Road and Route 72. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the properties. I'm going to tell you about the property directly to the west, which you approved an annexation agreement for and annexed to the village back in January of 2025. And then we'll talk about specifically what goes on this property, what the requested prospective use of this property is, some proposed development incentives, which will be included in the annexation agreement, and then we're going to be asking you for some open issues and questions, and then discuss next steps. At which point, after that, we will open up a public hearing for anyone to speak. We have we have Ryan Trottier from Floaty, who is representing the owner of the property. They'll be able to answer some questions, and we can have him speak actually probably before the public hearing to provide some more context than what I'm going to say. Okay, so first off, looks like do we have a presentation?
Working on it. I'll get it up there when it's
Okay.
ready.
All right, so the property is 74.55 acres, which is part of a larger parcel of property that is owned by Floaty, consisting of about 253 acres. The property is owned by a series of land trusts with Chicago title, but Floaty is the beneficiary of those and has the controlling interest in them. As I mentioned, the western 178.4 acres were annexed in January of 2025, and really those were annexed for the specific purpose of providing contiguity. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Caleb. I do apologize for this.
You're going to have to go up there, Stu.
Hmm?
You're going to have to go up there. And
Oh,
manage
boy.
it.
Okay.
Keep it.
Okay.
We got it. We got it. Officer.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Stay there.
Public hearing hasn't been open. We should advise them of that. So commentary should be held until that point. All right, so here's the property. As I mentioned, you've got the total property is about 253 acres. The western 178 acres were annexed in January 2025. Those acres are currently being used for a large portion of it is a detention pond. Other portions are an active quarry site, and then an area that probably a lot of you are familiar with south of to the kind of the eastern edge of that is being used for commercial truck parking. That area has been in the village since January 2025. What we're talking about specifically is the area that is directly on the southwest corner of the intersection of Beverly and 72. The area is unoccupied. It was a former driving range, I believe, at one point. And then there are portions of it that are under active agricultural cultivation, and then other areas that are just vacant and actually kind of forested at this point. As I mentioned, the western parcels were brought in January 2025. I talked about the existing uses. When this was brought in, they were brought in to the M1 Limited Manufacturing District. The purpose of that was to allow the existing uses on the property to continue. So in addition to all the uses that are permitted in the M1 Limited Manufacturing District, they asked for and received conditional use permits for continued mineral extraction, which dealt with the quarry use, and then also for commercial parking. And then in conjunction with the commercial parking, there were some variations to allow the existing operations to continue, which included a variation from the village's requirements for paving of parking surfaces. Currently they use, I believe it's kind of a compacted asphalt grindings. Also there's not parking lot lighting on the property, and also landscape screening is kind of the existing vegetation. All those conditions were kind of put in place or blessed through the variation process. The annexation agreement for those parcels that was approved last year, there were some development incentives. There was a commitment to establish a TIF district. We're going to be actually introducing, but not voting on, those ordinances tonight. And I'll explain, I'll put some of that in some context later. There was a commitment to extend village water and sanitary sewer service to this area within 18 months of the annexation of the eastern parcels. So once everything was in the village, there would be a commitment within 18 months to extend those utilities. Obviously, that has not been triggered because we're only talking about annexing the eastern parcels right now. There was also, in that annexation agreement, there is a parking tax rebate. The Plody has been paying the village's parking tax, and then they are getting a 50% rebate on the taxes that they're paying for that. The justification was that to continue their commercial parking at the time, they could have continued that in Cook County. They didn't need to come into the village, so it was, that parking tax was actually kind of a windfall for the village. There were some standard provisions in the annexation agreement, which are very common to annexation agreement, which include freezing building permit fees and utility connection fees as of the date of annexation, and a waiver of an annexation fee. Really what that was is to keep it very predictable for them if they want to develop, that the village wouldn't subsequently to them being brought into the village, jack up those rates, to kind of use that as an extractive measure for revenue. All right, so, that's actually incorrect title there. These are images of the eastern parcels that we're talking about tonight. This is taken, the top photo is taken from the facing southwest at the corner of Beverly and Route 72. You can see the existing vegetation. This next photo is taken a little bit farther south on Beverly Road, and you can see the areas that are actually open up for cultivation right now. Here's the proposed annexation plat. You can see the diagram, some details of it. It's 74.55 acres. We also include in the annexation the adjacent 6.97 acres of that encompass the Route 72 right-of-way that would actually be brought into the village's jurisdiction. The existing uses, really, as I mentioned, it's agricultural or otherwise vacant. The proposed zoning, once again, M1. All this proposed zoning that we're going to be discussing is going to mirror what was done for the western parcels. So M1 zoning district requested zoning relief, same as for the western parcels, conditional uses for parking and mineral extraction. Now, that's one of the questions is there's not currently parking on here. There is not a proposal to bring parking at this time, but what Plody is asking for is to have uniform entitlements over the entire 253 acres. Ryan and his counsel, his attorney, can speak to that a little bit as well. One additional aspect that we have to do is that we have to do a subdivision. So when the actual entitlements for this are brought to you at a future meeting, we are going to have to do basically a one-lot subdivision for this, which is a technical requirement to bring this in as part of the proposed TIF district. The subdivision proposal is not for a particular plan, it's not for a business park, it's not for an industrial park. It is really just going to draw a line around this parcel, which was not previously subdivided, and say this is lot one. So don't read too much into that. There's going to be also a declaration that the agricultural use, the cultivation, is going to be allowed to continue for the full 20 years of the annexation agreement if they so desire. The reason that we have to throw that in is because agricultural uses are not actually a permitted use in M1. So if we don't explicitly say that, we could declare them non-conforming and force them to stop doing that. I don't think anybody finds the cultivation particularly offensive at this time. It's honestly a very nice placeholder for the land use at this time. The proposed incentives. So it is very common that when a property is annexed in, that they will ask for incentives in conjunction with a development plan. There is not a specific development plan for this property right now. And we're going to be asking for some of kind of your guidance and feedback on this at the end of my presentation. But they're asking for specific development incentives for whatever kind of they bring forward. And so in addition to what we had included in the prior agreement, which was a commitment to install the TIF, to establish the TIF district, to extend the utilities, to do a parking tax rebate, all those things that were on the other one, they want to have incentives that would be kind of broadened out to touch all 253 acres, to give them the widest kind of range of possibilities for redevelopment. That would include a reimbursement of 25% of any TIF increment that was actually generated. So the village would keep 75%, 25% of the increment would be paid back to the property owner to deal with eligible redevelopment property costs. Under the TIF statute, redevelopment property costs can be spent on a lot of things. They can't be spent on new construction, but they can be spent on kind of a lot of the prerequisites to get a property ready for development. That could be site grading, that could be environmental work, that could be engineering design, a lot of soft costs as well, but they are defined. And it can also be for land acquisition. So if the property owner sells this to a developer, the developer could recoup some of their land acquisition costs. This amount is not capped at a specific amount. A lot of times TIF agreements will include a specific cap on how much TIF money can be reimbursed. They're asking that it not be capped, but they're saying that they only want 25% of whatever increment is generated. We're also putting in a requirement that the prior village administrator had been very adamant about, and Franco and I both feel is very appropriate, that any increment that is generated by a parcel can only be spent on eligible redevelopment costs that were either occurred on that parcel or directly benefit that parcel. So what you can't do is you can't have basically increment from one end of the TIF paying for improvements that only benefit another end of the TIF. Oftentimes there may be things that benefit the whole TIF, but the idea is that each parcel should really kind of generate its own revenue and pay for any incentives that are applicable on that. So you're not robbing Peter to pay Paul, and that is a condition that Plody is fully in agreement with.
And that's applicable to any buildings that are 100,000 square feet?
I'm going to get to what a qualify. Yeah, so we'll talk about kind of what is the trigger for all this, and the trigger for all this would be basically a qualifying development. And I'm going to ask you guys for some feedback or to think about what a qualifying development would be. There is a request for an electrical tax rebate. The village does tax electrical utility payments. A request for 25% rebate, a commitment to freeze the rate, not the absolute amount, but the rate that the electrical tax would be applied to this specific property for whatever development would occur. Assistance getting a Class 6B classification. That is something that is a classification specific to Cook County that reduces the assessed value for the first 12 years. Sometimes that can kind of work at cross purposes with the TIF, but in this case it would lower the tax burden for about 12 years and then it goes back up. That is actually the decision whether or not to grant a 6B is in the end a decision of the Cook County Assessor or the Cook County Board. As I mentioned, the extension of water and sanitary sewer triggered by a qualifying development. The qualifying development, we don't want to just drag a bunch of utilities out to this corner if they're putting up, one gas station on the corner or a small office building. The proposed condition for a qualifying development that has been discussed is a building of no less than 100,000 square feet for a manufacturing or industrial use. That could include uses that are very similar to what's going on and that being built in that area across the street. Parking tax rebate, 50% if they extended commercial parking. As I said, there's no actual proposal to do that right now. Freezing building permit annexation fees, that's what is in the other annexation agreement as well. Okay, so open issues and questions.
Can you get a question?
Yeah, so here we are. We're open issues and questions. Yes.
The TIF,
Yeah.
is it a pay-as-you-go TIF, or are we obligated up front to offer any bonds or?
So all they're asking for, once again, this is slightly unusual because there's not a specific development plan that is being put forward. But what the developer is requesting is a 25% reimbursement. Basically, they get to any increment that is actually generated. So it would be pay as you go. It would not be there's no request at this time, and we have not been asked to borrow to go out to bond to front any development costs on this. It would be strictly any reimbursement would come out of increment generated, collected, and put into the TIF fund.
Stu, can you go back to the other screen, please?
Yeah.
It says freezing building permit fees, utility connection fees, and here you have Plody agreed to pay all applicable building and utility connection fees for the western property applicable at the time of annexation. So it's saying that they're going to pay for them.
So that would be, what it is, it would.
They're just not paying annexation fees.
Yeah, annexation fees is the only thing that they are, that they are asking. Some towns, I don't even believe this is actually in your code. Some towns have in their code, like in their fee schedule, there will be an annexation fee per acre. That is not something that the village has ever had, and so what we're just kind of codifying
But
that.
there still would be a building.
Whatever they build, they would pay the rate for a building permit, whatever that is. If it's, how do you calculate?
And that's not frozen, is it? Because if it's.
It'd be frozen at the time of annexation.
Time of annexation.
Yeah.
Today.
Well, we're
And
not annexing, we're
So
not actually adopting that
now
ordinance
for the
today.
eastern parcel, and then whatever was frozen for the western parcel at 2025.
Yes, so it's not a specific amount. It would obviously depend on, if building permits are calculated probably based on square footage or project cost. So, once again, the idea is predictability. So that if you charge, how do we calculate building permit fees? Very complicated. Okay, so if you took that complicated formula and took whatever the rate is and doubled that, you could not do that for these parcels after the fact.
Between now and when?
Exactly.
Okay.
Once the annexation goes through, that is
Right.
that is frozen in time for
Right.
the rate, not the absolute amount of the permit fee.
I don't know, maybe this is a question for Ryan or someone else, but taking the whole land space of this particular 74.55 acres, what does a 100,000 square foot building or qualifying building look like on that property? How much of that property would be filled by that size of a building?
Yeah, I'll let them speak to.
I'm just trying to get some
Well, we're not at the
context.
public hearing yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about 2 acres,
44,000.
so it's about 2 acres, thank you.
That's a function of what that user needs though, too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
if they're producing equipment and they
Right.
do, like Altoffer, right? Like, for us to do the Altoffer deal, we had to create a yard with that, right?
Right,
They're
yeah,
selling
yeah.
$1 million machines,
Sure,
right? But they need somewhere to store those, so in.
I got you.
In theory, Joe's number isn't wrong, but a user dictates that. So
But
it's part of
you were asking
So,
kind of about, just for like
yeah,
a comparison for scale.
I want to know what the village will be on the hook for a minimum 2 acre building, right? am I understanding that, for this larger 74 or 7, let's just call it 75 acre property. So that is, and what those costs would be for the end return on that investment on the water and sanitary sewer going out there for something that might be under utilizing that whole property. Does that, am I making
I know what you're
sense to you
trying to
guys?
say.
Yes,
Yep.
it was.
Understanding it.
Okay,
Do, I don't know
The
off
whole,
the top.
the whole idea of this whole incentive was for a data center, from my understanding. It was all data center at that point. And this was 2 years ago, I believe. So, yeah, that was the whole understanding, and it looks like they're just wanting to keep that incentive for anything that may be
Right.
built.
Yeah.
that could be a lot smaller and a lot less best use for that size of the property.
That, I think that's what we're trying to work through right now, is that a lot of these terms were discussed and kind of in a preliminary form with some other developers who had expressed interest. Those developments did not move forward. What Plody is asking for is to move forward with an annexation agreement that keeps the door open for those types of annexations, or for those types of redevelopments. And, but obviously, they understand that the village is not willing to make, and I'm not sure, what is the current estimate for the utility extension cost? Do we know?
I want to say it was anywhere from 6 to 9 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a significant outlay. And
Right.
that type of development would not be built without utilities accessing that property.
Right.
And so I think that's one of the questions is what is the trigger and the qualifying
So
development
we
for this?
have the which comes first, chicken or the
Right.
egg. And I'm not comfortable, I can tell you right now, with promising that within 18 months without an understanding and approval of a bigger development agreement and understanding of that.
Absolutely. The climate was different in
Yeah.
2024, it was different,
Yeah.
different understandings and stuff, so, yeah, no blanket statement agreement. Just,
Right.
You know, like, we
And
just have
then-
to revisit.
Then my other question is, and it's not that I'm not in favor of annexation, I just want to be safeguarding the village and the village's residents against an expense like this. The other thing is, so is the uncapped portion based on uncapped 25% of the TIF reimbursement? Uncapped is no longer, it is only going to be on qualifying TIF-related expenses.
So, yeah, and let me kind of,
Can you
yeah, let me
drill down
clarify,
on that?
yeah, let me clarify that a little bit. The idea is that the incentives would only be for a qualifying development. We have to define what a qualifying development is. There's a few boundaries that have already been, that we've already agreed with Plody as to what some of those boundaries are. One, that a parcel would only get increment that it had generated, and could only be used for that purpose. So it couldn't pull from other portions of the TIF, couldn't get money from other TIFs that are, that are contiguous and
Right.
whatever. Okay, so that's one limit. The other limit is that it would only get 25% of the increment actually generated. So there would be no borrowing, as we said. The key thing is that there is not a cap of saying you will be reimbursed up to $15 million or $20 million. If the property generates $100 million in increment over 23 years, they could get potentially $25 million. Now, that $25 million can only be spent on certain costs that are enumerated in the TIF, which, as I said, was like site preparation, land acquisition. But it is possible to find a lot of qualifying expenses in a development of the kind of size that we're talking about. So It's not profit. It's not like they're going to just be getting free money. They have to justify it. They have to report what expense they're reimbursing. But there is not a specific cap on that number, I think is the key thing to keep in mind. And that is, from the numbers that we have seen from the kind of developments that we're talking about, I think that and the amount of work that would need to be done to get this property development ready, those would be legitimate costs. The question is, how much is the village willing to offer up as an incentive?
Out of the 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that it'd help, before we get to where we're voting on this, I know we're not today, but having like a net fiscal impact analysis of here's all the costs that could be introduced, here's all the money that will be coming back, like the not putting a cap on the TIF, that could get us in trouble, but if we can see next to that, for that to happen, we'd have these assets coming in. Seeing it all in one picture would help us to decide between the 12 different incentives.
Where the impact is.
Yeah, and which things make sense
Yeah, I
versus
agree, 100%.
we can't afford that.
100%.
Because if it, say it generates 100 million
Yeah.
in value, property value, that's not 100 million we have. So if we have to pay 25 million that we don't have,
Well, it's always going to be a percentage of incremental tax revenue that's actually collected and given back to the village. That's the whole thing, that they're not asking, and the nice thing about what Clody is asking for is that none of it is actually a raw amount of money. They're always asking for percentages of revenue that are prospectively being generated that the village would not be getting if it didn't annex.
So,
And I don't want to stand here being Flody's advocate for this deal. They're well represented. Ryan is a very eloquent advocate on his own, and Pat's here. But that is, I'm kind of previewing, I think, the argument that they'll make.
yeah, and I mean, in that scenario where they're generating the $100 million of tax increment, we would be getting $75 million. in
That
that
is
scenario.
that is the argument.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I throw out $100 million because attorneys can only think in big round numbers. I have no connection to like.
It's not a promise.
Yeah, I didn't want to be trying to do math up here with percentages. So.
I guess my question is, we're baking into, I think, the annexation agreement, some zone variances for parking, the asphalt, the sort of things that we've done in the past. And I guess my question is, on the last annexation, they had truck parking on that land already. They were already using it with those same variances already. This one doesn't have any of that. So I guess my question is, why aren't we just not putting those in, and then when they decide, oh, all we can do is truck parking on this land, they come in with a special use permit for that use, because that's what we normally do.
I
Maybe
think
we didn't do that the last time,
I
and maybe that's a shame on us, but, I don't see why we should, like, how would that even, let me ask you this. If we say, okay, you don't have to, for your parking lots, you don't have to pave them, does that then apply to if they build a shop, a millwork shop there, would that millwork shop not have to pave their parking lot?
Correct.
yeah.
Okay, so that seems like a wrong-headed way of doing things to me.
I mean, I think that if you were talking about the type and scope of the developments that we hope to come in, that would not apply. But if you were just putting up, if you were just putting up like a small, like 10,000 square foot.
Well,
So-
even if it was 100,000.
Well,
square foot
in that
warehouse,
case, I think we would,
Still a hope.
yeah, we would define that we would define the zoning and subdivision relief to not apply to that. It's really about, well, okay, I'm going to let them speak for themselves, but a lot of the questions that you just asked were also raised at the PZCH. And I think if you look at the PZCH's minutes, you'll see that there was some division on that, and that there was actually a split recommendation on
Well,
that.
I'm not even arguing for or against allowing those variances.
Yeah,
All I'm saying is it wrong to put them in the annexation agreement as a general for the entire land, as opposed to when they want to make a parking lot, they come and ask for a special use for a parking lot for trucks.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that would be how we've done it with people on the other side of Route 72. Why wouldn't we do that with this?
It doesn't have to be in it. I mean,
yeah.
you don't have to
Right.
put it in.
Right, we don't have to agree to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Right,
It's
no, I
not
know
in
we don't.
there
And
yet,
all
right?
all I guess is offering the point of view that maybe we shouldn't.
But the
Right.
annexation
Well,
agreement
I
so
think-
far doesn't have that in there, does it? Like, we're talking about a zoning variance that was
But
discussed.
they were at planning and zoning asking for those.
Yes.
You're correct, it is baked into the annexation.
Yeah,
plan.
it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
So I think another way of saying what you're saying, Scott, is there's one set of conditions that was allowed by PZHC and by the board on the previous annexation, existing uses, existing conditions, existing things, so that we could have this contiguous property in order to annex this easternmost property that is pretty much agricultural, completely virgin, undeveloped, no existing uses, no commercial things, and they're asking for they're trying to bake into this the same conditions, the same variances, the same allowed uses, but it's not the same. It's not the same underlying property and the property conditions. And so I'm in agreement with you, Scott, on something like that.
I don't think we have a problem letting them do the truck parking and all that, but to give them the variance forever, for eternity, even when they sell the property, then that business could argue with us as far as putting up lights and stuff, and I don't think we wanna do that. I think the PHC committee did a great job of picking that out, and like you said, we probably should have dealt with that before on the western property, so
Right.
we know now. But as far as annexing in, it shouldn't be a problem. And we just give them a special use permit for however long they need until they sell it.
The concerns I have are two. One, I'm bringing up the same concern when it comes to truck parking and those variances. So let's break up like variances to incentives, all right? So like, of the incentives, I think that they're doable, except for the one with the utility hookup. That's a huge number for us to jeopardize. If nothing sat on there, that's potentially $9 million. Like, I don't know if there's a way for us to change it where it's TIF eligible, to completely repay it back over time, or what to do with it. That's a huge number, and there's no development planned. And I know we were saying if it only triggers with a 100,000 square foot building, still $9 million is a lot of money.
Remember,
So-
this was all based off of a data center
Exactly.
and numbers that they
So-
were giving us at the
So
time.
as we look into this, I want to look for other options for that, for the utility hookup, and for the variances on the truck parking. It doesn't have truck parking on it now. I understood with the first half that it had truck parking, and they were coming in and they were bringing us this beautiful thing, and they wanted to protect themselves a little bit on that, and I understand why they put that in because it was existing, but this new area doesn't have it existing, so I'd like to see that removed too.
So just on the question of the utility, kind of what would trigger the utility construction, is your concern that what is a qualifying development that would actually trigger our obligation? Is your concern that the
I'm concerned how we'll
100,000?
pay for it.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
That's kind
I
of
mean,
what you were talking about.
the spirit was that the building permit fees were gonna cover this utility extension on the eastern corner based on the annexation of this parcel at a future time, but the building license permit fees dollar amount that was estimated could be significantly different this time around.
Right.
And if we do have to trigger that water main construction or the budgeting of the water main extension for the following year, we might have to take out a bond for that water.
Right.
And the good thing is that nothing is on your agenda tonight that you have to vote on for this. So this is where we're using this public hearing as an opportunity to give you the terms that have been discussed and get your feedback. And so, if it is a question of, is a qualifying development, is it 100,000 square feet? Or is it a development that generates sufficient building permit revenue to cover
Yes.
The expense.
the expense?
Right.
Then we can draft it that way. What we're giving you is kind of the outline of the terms, and we're asking for feedback.
It's essentially where everything left off, and we're seeking guidance from the board on this.
Yeah.
I have a question about the rebate. So the 50% rebate, is that 1 year, 2 years, forever?
Are you talking about the parking tax rebate or the TIF reimbursement?
Parking tax rebate.
I believe it's the entirety of the annexation agreement, which is 20 years.
Yeah, so an annexation agreement under law can only have a term of 20 years. So any obligations that the village signs on to are limited in time to that. That's still, a good amount of time. I think that, Peloti will probably come up here and Ryan will talk about how their long-term plan for this property is not to have commercial truck parking on it for 2 decades. But
How many trucks are currently parked?
I would have to have them
But keep in
speak
mind,
on
if they
that.
weren't annexed in, we would get none of it, so.
Yeah.
I'm just having a hard time.
And
Two.
on the north side of the road, did they get a parking tax rebate or no?
I don't believe that, I'm,
No, but
No,
they
we
wouldn't
didn't
give
get
an
it.
anybody on the other side of the road tax rebates on for parking. Because the parking tax is new,
Yeah,
Right.
so
That came after the planned use development.
right.
Right. So, I'm not opposed to parking on either of these properties. Obviously, I'd like a bigger and better use. I am opposed to a parking tax rebate of 50% on this property, if there, and I know it's not the key business model they want for it, but for something that is gonna be limestone grindings, there's no EAB lift on the property, there's little to no investment on, compared to parking and putting in the proper lighting and putting in the proper screening and landscaping and everything else like you see down in West Dundee. That then maybe we can, could take a look at that kind of a rebate percentage, but on, what is there now and that has always been, I'm having an issue with as well.
Yeah, the parking variance on the other western portion, it was a quarry that was filled, we couldn't pave it because things are shifting and semis are helping compact it was the rationale, so I see this as being a different situation. And it does seem like planning and zoning did discuss all these things, so I'd rather take each of these issues as they come, as opposed to putting them in the annexation agreement as just a big bundle of no rules in these area. I'd rather take recommendations from planning and zoning and discuss them, especially if it's for a use that's not guaranteed to happen. It's just in case we want to do this, we want these rights. So a little more open to discussing those things as they're actually being planned out.
I agree. Like if you think about from 2024, our discussions to now and how things have changed, like we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot. Like I don't think, yeah, I 100% agree.
So at this point, it may be useful for Ryan to come up, just give a little background, and then if you want to open the public hearing to see if there's any members of the public who want to talk, and then after you close that, you can ask, I'm happy to answer any more questions that you have.
We'll get Brian in the public hearing. We'll swear him in.
Okay, that's perfect.
Pat too.
All right. Do you guys have anything you're filling up on the screen or anything? No? Okay.
We got those PDFs if you want.
All right. I gotta open it up. Can I go ahead and do that?
Thank
All right, the public hearing regarding the petition for annexation and annexation agreement submitted by Chicago Title Land Trust Company under item 5A of the Village Board agenda is now open. Does anybody wish to testify or provide comment regarding this public hearing? Ryan Trotter?
All right. If you don't mind, coming closer to the mic, Pat, thanks. Raise your right hand. And state your names, please.
Ryan Trottier.
Patrick Brankin.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Joined here today with Patrick Brankin, partner with Shane Banks and David Plody. Appreciate staff's efforts thus far on this property. What the board may not have seen is the amount of time, effort, money that we have put forth with staff to try to put this property into a position of success. And, you know, a lot of the comments I'm feeling tonight are more not interested or have concerns with what we're trying to do, right? You know, the uses that we asked for and the variances we asked for are predicated on the rights we have today and uses that we can operate on that property, and to carry those forward because we have them today. I understand some of the concerns put forth, right? For all the reasons shared at P&Z and also with staff, we're trying to position the property in question tonight to be a prime development, right? That's what we're trying to get to, right? You know, the incentives are to make that happen, to induce development on the property, right? To come to this site versus somewhere else, right? I mean, simply put, it brings 75% of what you don't have today, right? It's a 75% gain than what there is today, right? That's it. That's it, right? There's a lot of challenges to make this property developable, as indicated in the underwriting for the TIF. If we look at that document, right, we have a lot of drainage problems associated with this, right? We have some plating issues. We have some other challenges, right? We have worked with staff and multiple engineers over a long period of time to position this to solve those problems with some of that TIF, right? So that's the vehicle to make something happen here. And I'd like to think, excuse me, you know, we've been a good development partner. We've been good stewards of the land, good stewards of the buildings that we have in town. You know, not to get too long-winded here, but just a few to mention, right? We took the old Dundee Ford, made some considerable investment in there, re-tenanted it. We have a successful operation there now. High Street at Commonwealth and Route 72. That's our property. We brought High Street to that property to make that 175,000 square foot building happen. Old Toffer Cat. We annexed that property into the village to make that property happen. Repositioning the old Walmart that's sat vacant for a number of years. Purchased that, again, put a lot of money into it to bring it up to code for fire sprinklers and other systems to get a successful tenant in there. Gardner Place at the northwest corner, right? I mean, part of that was getting a new fire station in town. That was our property. We helped make that happen. You look at our buildings between Commonwealth all the way to Plate, all masonry, great construction. The Grove Mart gas station, built 20 years ago, set the standard on gas station design with that all masonry product. We also provide recycling to the village of your leaves and landscape debris. I think 300 yards, 300 tons a year in a partnership. I think our track record shows that we've been a good partner, and we're going to be here and we're going to try to do something great with this. And if you just have a little bit of faith given on our track record and the time and effort that we've put forth with staff, and look at the big picture here of what we're trying to create and what we're trying to bring. That's what I ask. That's what I ask.
I think the biggest hangup is the getting utilities out there. So if we say we're gonna get our utilities out there and it's gonna cost the village $8 million, and then you end up putting a self-storage unit out there that's not gonna use anything, well, then where's our return on investment? And how long is it gonna take to recoup any of that? I think that's the biggest thing, because initially it was all about a data center. As far as the TIF money, the reimbursement, I don't think that that's much of a problem here at all. I think it's just the hang-up of getting
We
those
see it's possible.
utilities to that location, and I don't know that we're going to be able to get the building fees are gonna incorporate all of that.
So if there's a mechanism we can develop with staff to address that, that's the
Correct.
principal
Yeah,
concern.
I think that would be best, yeah.
Yep. Because that's our risk.
Correct.
And if we mitigate the risk, well, it's all reward.
It's
then.
our job to mitigate risk.
And if you did go to something like that, it wouldn't be that big of a deal because we wouldn't have to bring that type of utilities in, so. Yeah, so I think work with staff on that, and I think we would probably be better off. As far as everything else, I mean, a lot of that's just special use. If you need to park for now, I think we would be willing to work with all of that.
And I think we want to continue those discussions
Yeah.
with
Right.
staff.
Oh.
You know, where we weren't, you know, we had a long, good back and forth meeting at P and Z, and, you know, we didn't walk away with everything that we wanted there. We respected the process of P and Z. They were very clear on what they had to do. And so we respected them for doing what they had to do, but at the same time, you know, we were still kind of hung up on like, well, we have this right now, you know, we want to continue to do this. How can we coexist and make that happen?
Ryan, I wanna, from, at least from my point of view, reset your initial statement, to us. I very much want to have this annexation go through and to see the kind of growth that you and the rest of and the partnership that we've had over many, many years. I think I first met you when you were bringing Gardner Place to the fore.
Yeah.
And I might have been on planning and zoning at the time. So we appreciate you being good partners with the village, and definitely want to see this annexation move forward. There are details, small details in this, in trying to roll into in this new property that, you know, while it's contiguous to the property, it's not the same property that we annexed in 2025. So some of these small details, which Dan mentioned, I think we can work out. It's just
Right.
we gotta just pound through those things and take into account the opinions that the rest of the trustees have kind of voiced and
I think
move
we're all
forward on
willing to
figuring out
work
how we're
with
gonna
this.
make this happen. That makes the most sense.
I also agree with you. I really want to annex the property too. I think it's a good opportunity for our village. It's just the risk of the utilities that you seem like you're thinking about it already. How do we mitigate that risk? And right now, I want to see your big, great project go there. I guess I balk at the variances for the truck parking for a couple of reasons. One is I want better. I think you can do better. I think the community wants a better project there than just truck parking. But another thing with the truck parking is there was a lot of things I didn't understand when I first got on this position, but it can be unsafe at times. So the lighting, the locations, not just yours, but in general. Sometimes they don't know what's stored there, so there might be a vehicle fire next to another vehicle, and they don't know what's in it, things like that. And we gotta think about that stuff. So that's my concern with that. So I think it's a temporary use for a property, but I think it needs to be tightened up a little bit so that we don't have any safety issues with our first responders, number one. So that's that. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, I would echo the same, but there's not non-interest, very interested in like the things that you have done, the prime developments, new standards for gas stations, the outdoor for cat, like building something that is, you know, at least medium standards or high standards is what you usually do, but the stuff that I think we're all reacting negatively to is having unregulated gravel parking, just because on the north side of 72 we've had that, and that's been a pain point. And we do hear the police reports, the fire reports, the unsafe conditions, and a lot of worries that this unregulated could turn into a terrible disaster fire. And it already is a lot of theft incidents and driving up police and fire costs. So it's kind of a pain point that we really want to avoid. And it doesn't sound like it's on the list of things, like the top things you want anyway. It's just kind of the possibility of having the least amount of regulations. But those are the reasons that I think there's a lot of pushback on the gravel parking.
Anyone else?
I want to second it. Like I am so grateful for what you've done, like and all the development, and it's amazing. But as like for a long time I've been a single mom here and a resident, and I have to look at those other things that I have to represent, you know, for the utilities and this and that, and I do think that you have a lot of ideas and stuff that could be better than the truck parking, because we have that, and I'd love to challenge you to see what can you come up with that is better than that, because I know you've got it in your back pocket. You've got ideas. And so, you know, we have that, and that is I have seen our first responders like struggling. We are a skeleton crew. We are a small town. And so I don't want to put more on them already. And so it's a challenge, but like a respectful challenge, you know. I mean, Italian to Italians, you know, respectful challenge. Let's see. But I'm grateful for what you've done. Seriously.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm for the annexation.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that for sure we're all willing to do this annexation. My hang-ups are the baked-in variances for the truck parking. Also, you know, this annexation asks us to lock in our current zoning rules, standards, regulations, as they currently exist when we annex the property for the length of, I guess, the annexation agreement. And my concern with that is that, you know, if you guys want to put a data center here, we don't have any regulations for data centers right now. And then we have our hands tied for just even very reasonable regulations on such a thing. So I would like to see put into this agreement, and I guess a addendum to possibly the first agreement, some sort of basic regulations on data centers that that our residents can live with. You know, nothing outrageous, nothing that would limit you from actually putting a data center there. Not asking for that. Yeah, and then I guess the utility hookup is you know, almost a year's budget for us. So it's a big chunk of change. So yeah, that's what I got.
I want to say it in case, like, you saying data center is going to trigger all this stuff on Google for everyone to say it and like hate us or whatever. People didn't like the railroads when they started, and then people had to figure out how to make the railroads safer and better. You know, a computer with an entire room. You can't say we don't want computers. How do we make it better? How do we make it smarter and whatnot? Now we can hold the computer in our hands. Data centers and whatever, it's going to happen. So I think it's important for us to be like, how do we make it better for the environment, safer, smarter? Let's have the conversation instead of just, I don't like it. So I just want to put that out. No, I'm not saying, no, I wasn't saying you said that. I'm saying this just for the record, because I know what's going to happen, because it was said tonight. So I'm like, instead of being like, I just don't like them, well, this is technology that's going to continue. So we can either say, I don't like it, or we can say, like, how do we make it safer and better in our town if it's going to continue? Yep.
Yeah, how do we do the best we can do with it?
Railroads still exist, and people didn't like them. You know, I mean, we got to think about that.
Trustee Gilman? My only concern is the rebate? I mean, why are we giving a 50% rebate for 20 years? Yeah.
Well, I think that's,
If you guys are gonna make money on truck parking, then why should the village give 50% back?
Yeah, fair question, right? Because we can truck parks now on all the property, and we don't have to annex it at all, right? So we can just not pay the tax, but there's still the truck impact, there's still the fire and police calls, and most likely would be East Dundee's police and fire responding to those, even though the property wasn't annexed. So you would incur the cost to some degree without the revenue portion of it.
Is that the plan for the property, truck parking?
That is not the plan for that corner of the property. But like we presented at the P and Z, when you have a right in use that's been with the property since 1960 something, and you've grown your business off that land and raised multi-generations of families off that land having those uses, when it's taken away, it feels like something's been stripped from you. So the intent was to move forward with the uses that they had in place because they always had the right for those uses. So we didn't want to lose what we had. And that was the reason for it. And I think I gave an example at P&Z. It would be like you changing something in your life and me saying, well, because you did that, now I'm going to take away your right to vote or your right to this. Well, no, I don't get to lose that right. That's almost how some of the owners feel, that they're losing a right to something that they've had for generations. And that's the rub.
All right.
But
there's
they are
no-
trading.
There's no truck parking there now, right?
Correct. You're absolutely right. And there's no plans to put truck parking on there. And we've had the right to do those uses, and we haven't done it there, right? It's just not giving up what you have.
Fair.
Right.
But they're trading the benefits of being annexed for losing some freedoms. Like, there is a give and take, or else why would you annex?
Because
if
I'm not
there's no
sure what I'm
benefit?
getting yet.
Yeah.
Right, but there's benefits to annexing for your property,
And a tip.
are there not? Like, to be annexed in with a TIF versus not?
What I proposed, yes. What we submitted, yes. We're working through changes to what we submitted with staff to address some of Trustee Kunze's concerns with data centers and development standards. We're willing to sit down with staff and work at those, right? We've heard comments, questions, maybe pushback on some of the incentives, right? I don't know exactly what I have today to start saying, maybe I'll trade some things off. Those are things I need to work through with staff.
Yeah, and I think that having just like the comprehensive study of all the finances would help all of us to see, because there is a trade of incentives versus losing freedoms you already have, and that would help us to decide, because I don't want to just arbitrarily say, I really want that one to be different, but I do want to see the whole picture and make sure it's responsible use of the community's money.
Mhm.
all right, so, yeah, all of this agreements originally, from my understanding, was all based off of a data center. And to help you guys, help develop it, I think the majority of the board is probably willing to assist with all of that, except for some of the variances, because those could be done with, if we need to, with a temporary use permit. Again, the biggest thing in my eyes is spending almost $8 million, $9 million on something, so work with staff on that. And since you are just kind of bringing that talk from 2 years ago over to this, what about the talk of maybe like a public good donation that there was some talks about, maybe of donating to signs or stages or something like that in the future too?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't want to get into an open negotiation
Yeah.
here, right? I mean, those are all things that
Right.
can be discussed
Yeah.
with staff figured out.
I think, Bronco and Dan, whoever's gonna be involved in this whole negotiation thing.
I'll go to it.
Yeah, is, you know, it's like, what is the most beneficial workflow for both parties, right? So, we're concerned about some of these conditions, but they may not even come to fore, right?
It's hypothetical.
We're, you know, it might not even happen. So, in the whole workflow of all of the different legal processes, the subdividing, the planned unit development or the planned development or whatever, you know, does it make more, and it's not about taking something away that you've had, because you haven't really done anything with this property and it was never in the village. And it's kind of, it's at this point agricultural unused. But what is the best plan where we can say, okay, so if this, I'm not getting into too many scenarios, but maybe 1 to 2 to 3 different scenarios. If this happens, what has to legally happen if a data center or a big industrial center were to move into this? What has to be triggered for that to happen to go onto this property?
Right, for
Is it,
us, our
is
costs.
it, is it zoning? Is it rezoning other than M1? Is there a replatting, that kind of thing? So that, and what's it gonna cost us? And then we're not all working in the dark. We're not all trying to be, you know, forecast in the future something that none of us know are gonna be happening. And probably something else completely different will happen in the end. So maybe if there is a way that we can kind of get our arms around this instead of asking for kind of some blind faith obligations that the village, we're gonna have to put the village in. I think that would be really helpful too as we move forward with this.
Yeah, they're looking for incentives to go to developers and say, hey, we have these incentives. I don't think the variances are gonna affect that at all, but, the incentives, so just work with staff. And did you have more that you wanted to add? Cause I know, I think I
No,
interrupted you earlier.
no,
All right.
I'm willing to circle back with staff and have regular meetings with them
Great.
weekly, if that's what it takes to come to Village Hall or Teams or whatever and work through these issues and try to get it to where we all can live with it.
Thanks, Ryan.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good?
Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing my comments.
Thank you.
All right, is there anybody else for public comments? All right, if there's no further comments, I will entertain a motion and a second to close the public hearing.
So,
Second.
All right, trustee Mahoney and trustee Coonsey.
All right.
All right,
all
please,
in favor?
roll call.
Yeah, we can do a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
Just before we move off of this agenda item, I wanted to show you one more slide.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna, yeah.
Are we still gonna continue on with this? These were just.
All right, so next steps, right now, the annexation ordinance is not on the agenda tonight. The annexation agreement is not on the agenda tonight. You've given us direction, we're going to work on that. The applicant has gone through the PZHC process, and we will be discussing how to proceed with those. Those ordinances are not on the agenda tonight. Tonight, the TIF ordinances are on your agenda for a very specific reason. You close the public hearing on the TIF on May 18th. The TIF Act requires that ordinances be introduced within 90 days. It does not require that you pass them. You could not pass them today because we are not annexing all the property that's going to be in the TIF. However, they are on the agenda tonight. So what we would ask is that tonight, when we get to the agenda items regarding the TIF, that you basically recognize they're on the agenda, and then motion to continue consideration of them to a future meeting. I believe that, what date is the future, what, the first meeting in September?
September 14th.
September 14th would be an appropriate time. We would bring basically everything back based on your direction at that meeting. So. Does that cover? There's only like one or two things. So, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
President Pearson, if you want to do that tip now.
Yeah, why don't we just go right to other agenda items. D, introduction of an ordinance approving a tax increment financing redevelopment plan and project for the Beverly Road and Route 72 redevelopment project. So, we need a,
There's three of them.
there's that one, there's E, introduction of an ordinance designating the Beverly Road and Route 72 redevelopment project area pursuant of the Tax Increment Allocation Redevelopment Act, and F, introduction of an ordinance adopting tax increment allocating financing for the Beverly Road and Route 72 redevelopment project area.
And I will move to continue those three agenda items to the September 14th, 2026 meeting.
Second.
Okay, take a roll call, please.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Guma?
Yes.
Trustee Sauter?
Yes.
Trustee Oakland?
Yes.
Trustee Saviano?
Yes.
Trustee Coonsey?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'll entertain a motion for A.
I'll move to approve an ordinance amending sections 157.003 and 157.050, defining adult daycare center and adding adult day service center as a special use in the B2 and B3 zoning districts.
Second.
All right, there's a second. Any discussion? Do we need any discussion?
Yeah, I mean, we should definitely have a discussion on this. Is the applicant
Yes,
here?
he's here.
Yes.
Okay.
So the first item is the text amendment that makes the special use possible. This went before the village, the PZHC, as far as amending the code to define what an adult day service center is, as well as allowing it in our zoning code. The definition is derived from the Illinois Department of Aging's definition and requirements such as age 60 or over. And the allowable use table that's before you for consideration reflects the recommendation from the PZHC, which would make this a special use in the B2 and B3. But it should be noted that staff's recommendation during the PZHC was to only permit this in B2. As noted in the memo, keeping the B3 open for larger, more warehouse type developments should the board want to amend the ordinance presented tonight regarding this.
Is there a map in B2/B3 in this, or is it, or should we have it?
Caleb, can you please bring it up?
Yeah,
Sir, if we could
please.
ask you to sit down for now, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, but-
Caleb's gonna pull up the zoning map for reference.
Thanks, Caleb.
Take a second, but we'll get there.
Good chance to highlight the new GIS system.
I know, I can't let you get by with not showing your GIS system here.
All right, so the purple right there that you see on 25 and 72 in the intersection, or pink, purple, sorry, that is B3, and the reds along 72,
Oh.
those are the B2s.
Okay.
So why did staff originally only wanted it B2?
My recommendation to keep it in B2 is because that's where an office-type environment aligns with our zoning code, and keeping the B3 open for more warehouse, commercial spaces, in the big picture long run.
B3 is the purple.
The magenta,
Yes, right there.
Yeah.
No, they're
it's straight
further
line.
down. 455 is farther west, keep going west, isn't it?
that's B4, yeah, purple's B4.
And does that recommendation,
Yeah, they're further west for this.
make what their goals are still okay?
Yeah, my recommendation aligns with their existing zoning, which is B2.
Okay. Just wanted to double check that.
So why was B3 added then?
Yeah,
The PZHC wanted to add it to capture a bigger footprint.
oh,
But from my step analysis, keeping B2 would be appropriate for office spaces. It doesn't mean that it's incorrect,
mhm.
just keeping the B3s open for larger commercial spaces is always preferred.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
the fact that it's special use is kind of giving us that option anyways.
Sure.
Yeah, and a home for seniors along 25, like down where the animal hospital and gag guns, it seems like some of those would seem like a good fit, so I like having more options and the special use to be the control to be able to deny it if
Right.
it seems like an inappropriate spot.
Okay.
All right.
So this is simply creating,
The special use.
A special use for B2 and B3.
this is simply defining what this is and putting it in B2 and B3 as special use.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah,
We good with it?
I support that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely,
All right.
yeah.
Caleb, you want to go ahead and take roll, please?
Trustee Mahoney,
Yes.
Trustee Guma,
Yes.
Trustee Sauter,
Yes.
Trustee Oakland,
Yes.
Trustee Saviano,
Yes.
Trustee Coonsey.
Yes.
All right, now that brings us to B. I'll entertain a motion for that.
I'll move to approve an ordinance granting a special use permit for an adult day service center for the property located at 455 East Main.
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion?
I have a question. So, do you currently own or have you operated these before?
No,
No? Okay.
no.
And can I just understand your motivation for it? Your familiarity with OIG and all of that for the officer inspector there? Thank you.
Well, there's a consultant who I have
Okay.
engaged, who's going to be helping
Okay.
in running
Okay.
this. The only reason is to ultimately create a center for adults, seniors, which is growing. That section of population and that section of healthcare, which is called adult day services, is growing. And there's a need. So I said, I have the property, I have the consultant, why not make it happen?
I understand, that's the property. I would love to have a conversation with the person who wants to put that on, because there is a growing need, but there's also a lot of people that run terrible facilities. And
Yes.
I'm very familiar with the Office of Inspector General, OIG, mandated reporting, and like stuff that's like, it's just, they're a vulnerable population, and we need to make sure they're well taken care of. And so I wanna make sure due diligence was done on who wants to put this in, to make sure that it is safe for that community. And I'm not discounting whatever you've done for your due diligence, but to make a decision, I feel like I would love to have a conversation with them at some point.
Well,
What kind of licensing has to be, is needed for this kind of facility?
Go ahead. Go ahead,
Illinois
share your
license-
research.
Is there any Illinois licensing?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I mean, if you are seeking funds from the government, then you need to have a license to operate the adult daycare facility.
Okay.
If you don't seek funds that is coming from the government, that is from the state Department of Aging and Department of Health Services, then you don't need a license. There is already one in West Dundee, as we spoke about last time, that there is a private pay. Anyone who's above the age of 60 can go and enroll themselves, or their families can do that for them, and they spend whatever time they want in that facility. Basic idea is to make sure they have some sort of basic health issues addressed, not taken care of, addressed. Are you taking your medication? Are you having fun at home? Meaning, are you getting bored? Most of these people, and when I say these people, I mean the senior population, are alone at home and isolated and degenerating.
Right.
The idea is to get them socially active.
Okay.
And in doing so, you'll bring them out into the open, maybe move a little bit, get their joints moving, dance, maybe songs, maybe enjoy
Activities.
communal activities, things like that. Nothing more.
How do you see, how do you see the services that you would offer be different from what is like at the Rake Howe Parks District, at the Park District Center up on 72 and 68 there? How do you, is it,
It is different.
okay,
Okay.
can you share that?
Now,
a little
Park
bit?
District is supported by the Park District funds. Those are separate funds.
Mhm.
And they are only for entertainment. They bring them together, they play some games, they have some entertainment. I don't know what goes on there. I've spoken to the ladies there. There's general activities, and the main thing in ADS is there is food for the participants.
Mhm.
Maybe a snack or small breakfast when they come, and definitely a square meal in the afternoon.
Okay.
And maybe a snack if they want while going home around 3:30, 4. So a lot of people don't have the funds enough for their meals. Mind you, the poverty levels are changing. It's a dynamic process. So, in other words, you are ensuring that the patients or the senior is fed not good, nutritious meal. That's the main difference.
Okay.
And we'll be picking them up and dropping them back.
Oh, okay, so there's no other impact on the the countywide, what is there's a senior kind of ride share program that the township does.
Yeah,
Riding
Dundee
King.
Township, yeah.
Yeah,
Those
so
are
you guys are
different.
already, you would be handling the transportation?
Either us or we will outsource
Yeah,
that service.
okay.
Can I just ask more? Thank you. I have a question. So since it's not going to be state funded, like who is the
It
accredited?
is going to be.
Oh, it is gonna be state funded. Okay, so state funded by what? Is it Medicaid?
Medicaid.
Medicare?
Medicaid.
Okay. Medicaid? So who are the accrediting agencies, like CARF, or like who's gonna come in and make sure that
CARF
everything?
is totally a different.
Exactly, so
segment.
I'm telling you, what is gonna be?
This is the DOA, Department of Aging,
Right. So.
and the state fire marshals and,
Mhm.
so, yeah.
And-
Safety is the big concern
Absolutely. And if-
for the population.
And it's
Yes.
funded, tell me all the funding sources. It's just,
It could be private pay.
it could be private pay, okay?
Yes.
Yes.
People who want to come,
Okay,
more than welcome.
okay,
But if they have public aid and they qualify at that age group, then we send them to get assessed.
okay.
Now,
But it-
the public aid doesn't say, hey, you can come.
And who are your staff? What are their certifications, the staff that are in there?
There's no need for a big staff there. It is a 1-to-6 ratio
Ratio? Okay,
with a medical assistant or a volunteer,
okay,
another senior,
okay,
able senior, let's put it that way.
okay.
Things like that.
So
There's
it's not
an
considered a
administra-
rehabilitation facility?
Pardon?
It's not a rehabilitation facility?
No,
This is for entertainment and
This is
care
just-
and food?
it's
Aging.
called social club,
Social.
to tell you
Yeah.
the
Okay.
truth.
Okay,
like
It's just
enrichment.
for people
Yeah,
to
I just-
come together, play some games, chat a little bit, BS about whatever is going on. And you know, instead of sitting and smoking and drinking, it's, you know, come and eat nutritious food and get entertained a little bit, enjoy, move your muscles a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, it
I'm
just says adult
retired.
daycare service.
yeah,
I'm
and I
retired.
love the idea, I just have to ask my questions.
Sure. I'm retired and I'm really getting bored at home. Completely. And I can relate to that population.
Got it,
So that's bottom line.
got it.
Thank you for your candor.
Any other
Yeah.
questions? Yeah, so whoever's using it now will have their own home normally, correct? These are gonna be individuals that live in their own homes and then choose to come to this facility for the day, or how, I guess, what is the population? I know the age, but what is the population for this facility? Is it people who just volunteer to go?
Yeah.
How does it, that's pretty much it?
There is a voluntary recruitment. Then there is, I'm sure you know of Senior Services Association. Now, those people
Might refer.
are the ones who will actually go and say, my marketer finds XYZ person. They are referred and they fall into the age and the criteria. We cannot just take them and start billing Medicaid. We have to let them get assessed by the senior services. That's a kind of a gatekeeper, if you want to call it. And they will qualify and they will say, hey, yes. they may benefit.
Under a waiver?
Pardon?
Are they paid under a waiver? Or the impact?
It doesn't impact me.
No, impact is the system that pays for it.
Impact.
Impact, yes, through the
Yep.
state, yes. For Medicare.
Medicaid, only public aid. Medicare does not pay for this service
You're right.
at all.
You're right.
Then the other thing
It's through
is
impact.
private pay, as I said. Then long-term retirement benefit people. There are a lot of people who have that long-term insurance. That pays partially, and they have to pay some copay. So there are all these ways that, there is a revenue stream.
Anything else,
Yeah.
Trustee Eckler?
I think I was just looking for, do they get picked up by their homes? Or is it going to facilities and picking people up?
Facilities meaning what?
Not assisted living, but. maybe
Assisted living also, you
Okay.
can get the population
these-
coming from
It's
them.
like a
Okay,
assisted
child
daycare
Yeah,
center,
see,
but just for
assisted
adults.
livings, they have about 100 or 50 or more people living in that facility. They have that population. But the rule is they cannot have an adult daycare center in that premises. So there are people living in those kinds of facilities who are not able to take care of themselves completely in terms of every little action, activities of daily living, food, just simple food. A person who's diabetic eating donuts, pancakes,
Is this,
those kind of.
is this also used for, like, say if a loved one of mine lived in my home? You say you pick them up. So when I first thought this, I was thinking,
a loved one lived in my home, they couldn't be left alone by themselves, safety reasons, whatever, this would be a great place for me to leave them when I went to work or something like that. And is it really
You're
that?
spot on.
All right, perfect. All right, because that's what I thought it was. And-
Yeah.
All right.
How do
Thank
you go and do babysitting?
Exactly.
Simple.
It's the same thing.
You can't leave your senior, your grandparents, or even parents for that matter.
So essentially,
sometimes.
it's helping people stay in their homes longer.
Exactly.
And just so you know I questioned him a lot, but like your answers were very on point, because that's exactly it. It is ratio based. I am a panel person for impact for Medicaid, so I know how that runs. And so you're absolutely right.
We have to register through
You're right.
impact.
You as an organization have to register through impact so that you can bill Medicaid services. And so, yeah, so it all makes sense and it checks out, but I was just making
Cool.
sure.
Yes, is your snip.
Thanks.
Yes.
Trustee Coonsey?
You passed my Smith test. Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
A few things. The hours. I see in one part of the memo, it says that pickup is gonna be between 4:30 and 5:30, but then in the other part of the memo, it says that they have to be closed by 5. So is it 5:30 or is it 5? The actual ordinance says 5, but should it be 5:30? Should it be, why is it 5?
Should I answer?
I think.
What do you think?
Should I answer?
Yeah.
Well, I guess.
I'm glad you
wonder
brought
what you
up
think it
that
should
point, because I was going to question that myself.
Okay.
be. What time do you think it should be?
I don't know. The official hours that the department allows you is from 8:30 onwards. You can start bringing your clients into the facility.
They don't.
So
they
just
don't close
imagine
it.
that there is a couple who has two older people, parents, one this side, one that side, and they have to go to work downtown
Right.
or somewhere.
Exactly.
They have to be packed up at an early hour so that they can reach in time, the kids. So if I open up at 6:30, I'm sure there will be people ready to come there. That's my understanding.
Yeah.
That's my take on it. But at the same time, now if you are going to tell me that I have to open only between the hours of 8 and whatever that 5, now say someone, there's some trouble somewhere, vehicular trouble. You can't get the people out in time. So I'm not going to be penalized on those kinds of variable instances.
I agree with that.
So, and then there are things that the person and the people and the staff needs to prepare for the arrival of the clients. You can't just open the door at 8 and walk as an employee and the client together. You have to open about an hour or half an hour early to set up. And if that's going to be a problem, then I would like some leeway there.
Yeah. So what about that, I guess, if we put in this ordinance that their hours are from,
I would rather like regular working hours. If
These
that-
are hours of operation. I mean, can they still go into their business
Sure.
ahead of time?
Yeah,
Sure.
Right.
This was just something that PZHC put the regulation on this specific use. Staff is welcome to come before and after to set up. But if these are, if the board wants to change this to make it 8 to 6, 8 to 7, the board could do that on the conditions of this ordinance.
Yeah, I know with people that are aging, it's not always easy to get out of the house.
Sure.
And especially do what you gotta do. And so, I mean, at 8, I don't know, if someone has to work at 8,
Sure.
they gotta bring their dad there,
Right.
maybe 7. Like I know that, my dad has Parkinson's, he's in a wheelchair. It takes me forever to leave.
I don't see an
You know.
issue even if it was before that. They're just going into the facility, like it
Yeah.
really shouldn't affect them.
Yeah, they'll be,
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
if it was 6 even.
have you seen
just
the
so you were-
facility, sir?
yeah.
your building?
Yes.
Well, that was gonna be my next question after the hours, actually.
Do you want to come and see it?
I've seen the outside.
You want to come and see the inside?
I wouldn't mind seeing the inside, but I have seen the outside, and it looks tired. is there a plan to,
It looks tired, you said.
yeah,
It has to be brightened up.
yes, that's what I'm asking. Is there a plan to?
Yes, yes.
Invest in the facade, in the parking lot, any of these things? And I guess this LED sign has also been complained about by some people. Is that been fixed?
There's no light there right now.
It's not, it is off. Well,
The
there's nothing in our special use permit that says, you know, there's an expectation of the exterior to be cleaned up at all. I guess I would like to have something
But that's
in there.
that's just in our general ordinances.
Yeah.
The maintenance
Yeah.
code.
There's nothing that, in the special use, that would say, it has to be brought up to maintenance code. Because what I'm getting at is that gives us something to hold him accountable to. Sure. That's all. And, you know, as far as hours, I agree, with, I think the consensus here that I'm okay with them being open longer. You know, if somebody's gotta drop somebody off early in the morning. and
Could that be put
they can't
into
get
the,
back. What's that?
Does it need to
I didn't hear what you said.
no, I just said, could that be put into the ordinance or
Yes,
the
well, it'll
writing?
have to be, because
Yeah.
right now, in our ordinance, it says from 8 until 5.
Yes,
So what I'm saying is if we're gonna approve this, we have to amend our motion to change, the hours. We would have to amend the motion to say something to the effect of the, facility will be brought up to, building code, and fire code.
I would add in a reasonable time frame.
Well, that brings up the next question, is there's a further review clause for 6 months, of the facility being in okay, so that's from the facility being in operation, which really is gonna be a year to 18 months likely, right? It's not gonna be open in 6 months from now, no.
Just a question, does this building currently have a certificate of occupancy?
Not for this use, but for their other suites.
Okay, so, but to open up, would they be required to get a certificate of occupancy?
This use, yes. For
Okay,
this.
so to get the certificate of occupancy, they would need to be code compliant, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think a lot of the issues that would be addressed would come with the village's standard certificate of occupancy process.
Well, fair enough.
Am I
So then,
correct on that?
hours.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the
Well-
only adjustment would be the hours at this point.
Okay, what about, now, there is PZHC recommendations. Are all 7 of these baked into this ordinance already? Or are we voting without those? They are, yes, okay.
Yeah.
And then, how about the police department's recommendations with video surveillance, emergency operations plan, emergency contact information, and coordination with first responders?
That's all in the ordinance, right?
It's all
Right.
baked in?
Right.
So
Cool.
in section 3 of the ordinance, which is on page 104 of your packet,
Thank you.
there are 7 conditions, which include the video surveillance, and then specifically for the trustee cons, the hours of operation. If you wanted to make a motion to amend that, it would be condition 3.6. So if you wanted to amend those hours of operation.
Well, who made the motion?
I did,
So you would have to
unfortunately.
amend the motion. Do you need the hours
I mean, I
amended?
would say
Hey,
6 to 6.
if it is written that I have to operate only from 8 to 5, then
Well, now would be the time to change it if you
Yeah.
want to change it.
yes, I would.
Okay, what hours would you like?
I would be okay with 2 hours, both sides leaving.
6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
6 to 7? You guys have an issue with that?
Nope.
What about 7 to 6, like 1 more hour on either? There were a lot of residents who
All right,
were
let's do 7 to 6.
concerned about
I
it.
gotta agree with it. How about 7 to 6?
I would, the afternoon is one thing, the morning is hard for people, and if they have to leave their homes and drop off their parent.
I'm fine with 6 and 7.
6 to 7.
6 to 7? You wanna amend your, motion?
I'm doing it
Yeah,
right
what
now.
section is that again?
Okay, it is in the,
Section
Point six.
3.6.
3.6. I see it now. So,
6 to 7.
6 to 7? Alrighty. I would like to amend my previous motion for granting the special use permit for 455 East Main Street, amending section 3, point number 6, hours of operation to read 6 a.m. till 7 p.m. any day of the week.
Okay, second?
Second.
We need a second? Trustee Ackman?
Yeah, yes.
Are we voting now for the entire thing, or
The
just
amended.
for the?
We just, she just changed
to
her,
the, amendment?
she
I'm
just-
asking our legal team.
so the principal movement made a change to her original motion to approve the ordinance with that specific amendment. So that is now,
Changed.
as long as the second agrees with that,
Then we're
that
voting
is
for
now
the
the motion
entire
on the
thing.
table.
We're voting for the entire thing. if we
The
go
entire, the entire ordinance with that change.
Yeah. Okay.
as long
Because
as
there
there's
is
no more
consent.
discussion. Any more discussion? All right, let's do roll call.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes?
Trustee Guma?
Yes.
Trustee Sauter?
Yes.
Trustee Oakland?
Yes.
Trustee Saviano?
Yes.
Trustee Coonsey?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Cruising right along. It takes us to C. I'll entertain a motion
I
for
will move
C.
to accept the January 1st to December 31st, 2025 annual comprehensive financial report for the village and police pension fund and place it on.
Second.
Hello. We have our auditor here, Sydney Marks. She'll do a brief presentation of our audit findings for 2025. We do not have someone here from Sickish to present on the police pension fund audit, but it was reviewed during the police pension board meeting July 25th or 21st, and they had no comments or remarks. So I'll turn it over to Sydney.
So hi, I'm Sydney Marks. I am the audit manager from Lauterbach and Amen, and I'm here to walk you guys through some of the required pieces of communication for the December 31st, 2025 audit. First off, I want to start off by saying thank you for allowing me to come and present this evening. I would like to give a special thanks to the team, Brandis and Anna. The audit process requires a great deal of time and effort outside of their normal job duties, and I'm very appreciative of it because it does take up a lot of time. It's a lot of emails back and forth, a lot of meetings. But once it's all said and done, everything's great. So looking at the actual financial report, going to page 9. So page 9, that will be your Certificate of Achievement Award.
It's on page 145 in your packet.
Thank you.
Oh, you guys, it's in the board packet.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, yeah, well, this will be 9 of the audit report. And then pages 12 through 14 of the audit report.
This is dated 12/31/24.
The certificate of achievement? Yeah, it should be. So typically the process takes 1 year for it to come out. So if you have a 2025 audit, you'll see the 2024 award because it takes that long to get it issued. And that's on the GFOA, not on us.
Well, good job, Lex.
Very efficient.
Right?
Yes, they are very efficient. So yeah, so that's typically what you'll see in the audit report is 1 year behind. So pages 12 through 14, that is your independent auditor's report. Essentially, the purpose of this is just to state that management's responsibility or the village, your responsibility or role is to prepare the financial statements and make sure that they are fairly presented. And it also states that our responsibility as the auditor is to generate an opinion on these financial statements. So as you'll read through there, you'll see that the village received an unmodified opinion for 2025, and that is the cleanest form of an opinion, and that's the highest level of assurance that we can issue. You'll also see that we state that the financial statements are free from material misstatements and that the village has sound internal controls.
Nice job, Brandon.
Yeah.
Yes, great job.
Wow, yes.
Pages 16 through 26, this will be your management discussion and analysis, your MD&A. I call this the autobiography because this is the part where you guys actually get to update it. So this part of the report, it's pretty much just a snapshot of everything that went on during the year, all the financial highlights. If you have trouble reading the financial statements or you just simply find it boring, the MD&A will give you the gist of it. Page 37 of the audit report. This is where you can find your fund level income statement by governmental funds. So this will have all your major funds. So the first three are general. You'll see has an operating income of 9.8 million, ending fund balance of 18.8 million. Prairie Lakes TIF Fund has an ending fund balance of 6.3, and then you'll see Dundee Crossings. And then you'll have the rest of the major funds, your non-major governmental funds, that can be found in the back of the report in the required supplementary information. So following that, that will be on page 47. This will be where your notes to the financial statements begin. So this part of the report, this is where you could find any additional information that might not be included on the actual financial statements. It kind of just gives the background of any estimates that we might have used, any schedules that might help you tie out the numbers. So usually you can find investments here, leases, capital assets, long-term debt. And then page 86 is where your required supplementary information starts. Most of it is historical trend information over 10 years. I would say the most important part of this section is that's where you can find your budget to actual figures at, is in the RSI. And then that will be all for the financial report. The last thing I do want to go over are the management letter comments. So the first new comment that we have is for IT awareness. I do want to preface and say that we have been giving this to all of our clients. This wasn't specific to you guys or anything. It's something that we've just been giving to all of our clients just to make sure everyone's staying up to date, doing what they can to avoid these risks, especially when you're working with finances. It just makes you an even bigger target to phishing and all those crazy things that are going on. So. And then some prior comments were for deficit fund balance and funds over budget, which I believe there was improvement, at least for those two. And then for our upcoming standards, GASB 103. This is basically just GASB changing some of the formatting on the report, what needs to be included in the MD&A, what needs to be included on your business type statements, so like your water, your sewer, any of your enterprise revenues. And then GASB 104, that is just meaning that we need to start disclosing if the village were to sell a huge asset, a material asset. Now GASB wants us to say, okay, the village is planning on selling this parcel of land for $3 million. Anything to that extent, we would want to make sure that we're disclosing that in the finances. So that's all I have for you guys, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Well, where are those recommendations? What page is that on?
I don't know if they were in the board packet. It would be, it's typically a separate document. Yeah, it's not included with the audit report.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like our police pension went from being funded 9.8% in 2024 to 18%. Kind of doubled. Is that right?
It should be way more than 18.
Schedule of investment, I'm sorry, no, I'm just looking at the wrong one. Schedule of investment. Okay. Wow.
I know, I don't always get.
Sorry, I read that wrong.
Okay.
Brandis.
Whoa. All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
All right, any other questions?
Thank you.
All right, go ahead, take roll.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Guma?
Yes.
Trustee Sauter?
Yes.
Trustee Oakland?
Yes.
Trustee Saviano?
Yes.
Trustee Coonsey?
Yes.
All right, lastly, we'll entertain another motion for G.
I will move to approve a resolution approving a professional services agreement with Christopher B. Burke Engineering Ltd. for the Van Buren Street Sidewalk Improvement Project.
Second.
Okay. Do we have anything on that or no?
Nope.
Well, this is also covered in that grant, or is this something we have to pay outside of the grant? The engineering
Partially
services.
covered, right?
So it's my understanding the grant would apply towards design,
Yeah.
construction, and
Okay.
construction engineering,
Okay.
for the total project cost.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's
Any
go.
other talk?
Let's make some sidewalks.
When will this start?
Construction 2028. So design between now, phase 1 and 2 design between now and July next year, and then the project will be let through the state. So the state of Illinois, IDOT will handle the actual letting of this
It's gonna fly
project.
by the way. That's gonna be here before we know it.
I know.
It sounds far, but it's
It will.
not.
With IDOT, it might end up being 2029.
All right, there's no other discussion, we'll take roll.
Bill, part of this was initiated, I'm so sorry.
It's trying hard.
Part of this was initiated because of the concern for traffic along Van Buren. And so, do we have any other more recent traffic counts on Van Buren? I know we were doing it to try and understand if there was impact from changing Water Street over and that kind of thing.
We have not done any traffic
Traffic
counts or
counts,
studies on Van Buren recently,
Right,
to
okay.
my knowledge, so.
Might want to put something like that on the calendar sometime in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe when school starts back up again, because there will be a lot of
That would be a
traffic.
good time,
It's
And
typically the
that's-
best time would be during
Yeah.
school
okay.
in
Yeah,
session.
if we can get that on the calendar, that'd be good.
All
And
right,
then this is a $250,000 grant that we
Correct.
got?
Yes.
Who applied for that, or how did we find that?
So Christopher Burke Engineering assisted, they had expressed quite a bit of success with Safe Routes to Schools grants applications with other organizations in the past, and they assisted us with this process as well.
Awesome.
And we were fortunate to have been selected for the full amount. The maximum grant amount was $250.
Wow.
So,
Yeah, great. Let's do that
Good.
again.
right, yeah.
Yeah, good work.
all right. Take roll.
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Guma?
Yes.
Trustee Sauter?
Yes.
Trustee Oakland?
Yes.
Trustee Saviano?
Yes.
Trustee Coonsey?
Yes.
All right. Trustee Mahoney, report?
We had our events, special events and depot committee meeting last week. And we are deep in planning for the Halloween event, which will take place between 4 and 7 on Halloween, and more to come on that. So focus of family friendly, but some really fun retro ghost train traveling through the ages, kind of themed. We'll get it cleaned up and really spiffy as far as what the name of the event is going to be. Ryan is going to be helping out based on his understanding with sponsorships and everything else. I'm trying to also get more sponsorships for our events and working with Catherine on that. And we also have a wonderful new volunteer on the team of Mary Kay Harvey, assisting along with Russ Guma, who's got a lot of experience in Halloween events, and bringing the arts committee on board with creating some of the other assets that are needed and sets and that kind of thing for the event. So DJ, lots of fun, more to come. It's in work.
Great.
Hopefully we won't get rained out by 4th of July. That's all I have.
Trustee Ackman.
No report today.
Trustee, Guma, sorry. I was gonna say Ryan.
No report.
Trustee Sauter.
The top floor of the parking garage, if you go up there, you'll notice the Arts Council worked with Carl Jenke to do 4 painted murals that were painted off-site but then recently installed. So it has been beautified a bit up there. So next time you're up, take a peek.
I know Bandito's expressed interest in maybe doing some of that with you guys, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so we just have to find the wall and work it out.
All right.
But yeah.
Trustee Saviano.
So Blair Mogul is going to be working on a giant metal frame for a framing the box thing we're doing that's just upcoming, and it's going to be really serious, but he has to have surgery on his shoulder because he injured it, so it's all designed, but he has to do some therapy, so it's a little delayed on the fabrication of it, but it's really super cool, so just keep adding a little mystery, more to come.
Okay. Trustee Coonsey.
No report.
Phil. Anna. Brandis.
As Sydney mentioned, there's a new GASB standard that we will have to implement in 2026. So we will be bringing a contract extension for Robertson Amen at the next board meeting so that we can just do the new implementation with our current auditors instead of on the RFP for new auditors. So that's it.
All right. Joe.
No report.
Chris.
No report.
No report.
I don't think I talked enough tonight.
How about you? Any report?
No report.
I have no report. I'm going to look for a motion to adjourn to executive session without coming back to open discussion for C21 of discussion of minutes and C6 sale of property.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
We're not going to come back.
We're not coming back to
Did he?
Yeah.
to regular meeting.
All right.
Correct.
Sorry about that.
All right.
Take one.
Is it good to be?
Trustee Mahoney?
Yes.
Trustee Guma?
Yes.
Trustee Sauter?
Yes.
Trustee Oakland?
Yes.
Trustee Saviano?
Yes.
Trustee Coonsey?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I don't know who needs to be here for this.
Is this